WCLU news coverage of the 2022 primary election is brought to you in part by Walbert Trucking in Glasgow. Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
Welcome to today's program. Mr. Aaron Bennett, the Republican candidate for Barren County Jailer, one of Republican candidates this go-around in the May primary. Of course, you're the incumbent jailer for Barren County. Welcome to our program.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's get into a little bit about who you are. Of course, you're the incumbent. You ran in 2018, so many people are acquainted with you. But for those who maybe moved to Barren County since that 2018 election or what have you, just provide a little bit of insight into who you are as a candidate.
My background, I come from a military and a law enforcement background. I was in the Marines, where I was a presidential guard. I was infantry and also a recruiter. And then law enforcement, I worked for Glasgow Police Department, then Barren County Sheriff's Office before taking office.
All right, so inclusive of everything, you've done a little bit of everything in the way of what you're doing now, as jailer.
Yes,
so day to day, the jail is something that is a little bit of a mysterious institution to most people.
Oh yeah.
Which I suppose is a good thing. But obviously the jail can be, it's not always a negative place in the way of it sometimes is a point of recovery for folks, or a turning point, or a wake up for many people. What do you feel like over the last 4 years, or going on 4 years? What's been a big deal to you, and something that your administration, if you will, has worked to do at Barren County Detention Center?
Like in a positive way?
Sure, either way.
Big thing, I think, just overall was a challenge was just COVID. Nobody, especially in 2018, if you had asked me, hey, you're getting ready to run for jailer, you're going to be dealing with something called COVID in 2 years. What do you think? That was new. There was a lot of changes that came with that. They're coming, from the state, Department of Corrections, chief justices, coming down to the jails about, we have to do this, and they're changing all the time. So that was a big thing, was going in there, and just the changes literally multiple times a day. You may start to make and implement a change that was needed, and then all of a sudden the next day, nope, I'll do that. We have to do this now. So it was just that challenge of that. And now, from 2020 until the present day, now everything's running real smooth. Everything's running smooth on that. So that was a good thing, and just that adjustment, because you really got to see people's, perseverance, their personalities, my employees and whatnot, and see how they work. So that was a very good thing. And another thing too that I've been very impressed with since being at the jail was just the programs themselves, for the residents that are there, a lot of the state inmates, and the programs that they take, and how much pride they take in those classes to better themselves so they can get back out to their communities.
Right. From a fiscal standpoint, obviously being a county department head of the jail, there is a responsibility that you hold aside from what you're doing at the jail. That's reporting to the fiscal court,
Yes.
On a monthly basis, sometimes more than that. Consistently, being in correspondence with the magistrates and all of that to make sure that your budget is in check and all of that. What are some maybe surprises that you found over the last 4 years, or unfamiliarities, and how have you worked to maybe try to become more familiar and progressive in your approach?
Well, the good thing is we've had a lot of, open communication with the whole fiscal court, from the judge executive to all the magistrates. We've had meetings after meetings, and just everybody working, because it's not every day you have, a $3 million budget, give or take some. People can say, I have experience in budgets, until you have that amount, that many employees, and that many moving parts. When I say moving parts, just different line items and stuff that you have to juggle. And it's difficult at times, but it's a learning process. And we this past fiscal court was pretty new for the most part. I think there was 3 previous ones, and the rest were all new. So it was kind of a learning experience for everybody. And this one coming up, only 2 are rerunning, and then so it's going to be a new court possibly, with all that. But that was a good thing. With me, I wanted to invest in the front. It's like any other business. You want to invest in that business so then you can start to reap the rewards now. And that's what the plan was, and that's what we've done. Because now, like right now, what are we in? March. So we just finished up February. And where our budget was at for the jail, we're actually below budget, between 10 to 14%. Then on our receipt side, we brought in, 4 or 5% more than where we need to be at. So that's a good place where we're at. So we're bringing in more money and spending less. And that was my goal. But we had to invest up front first so we could get there.
Wasn't there a time when folks were allowed to sleep in the lobby at some point?
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
some complications with that. I
Yeah,
understand.
there was. It's a big liability. They destroyed the furniture. I'll be honest with you. We tried to help them as much as we could, and they came in, urinated on all the furniture, destroyed some stuff. Our Barren County deputy jailers would go out there. We'd give them mats, we'd give them food. Next thing you know, they'd throw the food across everything. It was just becoming very dangerous for the deputy jailers and the people in there, and it's a big liability. In doing so, we're paying our deputy jailers to take care of, the residents inside the jail, the inmates. Now it's taking our attention off of that because, we have them out here arguing and getting in fights, and next thing you know, we're calling for, Glasgow
Right.
Police Department to come over too, and it was just a big liability. And if people, and this is the bad thing, it's like we want to help people, but you can't help somebody that don't want help.
Sure.
And it just came to a point where I had to say no. And, it wasn't an easy decision, but at the same time, it was putting our deputies in danger that for no reason.
How do you feel like you've tried to foster a little bit better mentality among those that are incarcerated?
It starts with the deputy jailers. It starts with me, and that was a big thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to change the culture. I wanted a positive and professional culture, and that was a big thing for me. And now they do. They focus on that teamwork. They focus on dedication to serve in Barren County. And that trickles down because, whether it's the guys that are out in the hallway working or, the guy that maybe be helping our maintenance man, you can see a different pep in the step with them, just that positivity, and they're more than willing to help. They're laughing, they're joking, and it's the same thing when you go into the cells. They may need, maybe there's some paperwork from court that they didn't get a copy of. And it's like, oh, let me see what I can do for you. I know we're busy, just, it's going to be a few minutes, but let us see what we can do for you. And, with us helping them in any little manner like that, you see that change in them. You see that morale come up. Excuse me. And it's also the same thing going back to the programs. It all works hand in hand. We give everybody respect. That's the big thing, with me. Show them respect. It was just like when I was a sheriff's deputy or, police officer. You show them respect. Treat them how you want to be treated. Because a lot of these folks that are in jail, nobody's ever been nice to them before. And when you first show them that kindness, they don't know how to react. So sometimes they have that defense up. You got to kind of break that for them so they realize that, man, I'm just here to help you. You don't have to cuss me or call me a name to get my attention. Ask me nicely and, I'll do it for you.
Sure.
So it's just breaking down that defense for them.
On that note, as it pertains to servicing those that are incarcerated for their health needs,
Yeah.
Have you noticed anything that needs to be reformed a little bit, or because, and I think from a fair standpoint, every angle of life we've realized, dang, if we would have known that 2 years ago, we could have done that differently. So it is sure, it makes sensational headlines to say, oh, there's 50 people at Barren County Jail with COVID, but in such a close community like that, I mean, the transmission certainly
It's
is
gonna
bound to
spread very
happen.
quick.
Right. But as far as moving forward with health services and needs, has there been any changes at the jail?
One is mental health and drugs. Those are the two big things, and they kind of go hand in hand also. And that's the big thing that I don't think the community truly sees. A jail is not made for mental health stuff, and we deal with a lot of that. And then also the drugs these days, even from the time that, just the last 3.5 years, when I was on the streets working, the drugs, now everything's fentanyl and all these other things, and kratom, it's a legal thing, and there's no signs for it, and it can kill you. All this stuff, and it's so dangerous, and it's trying to keep our deputies up to date on it, make sure they're always wearing their, their PPE and their gloves when they're searching, and all that protective gear, because it's changed so much. Before, it was always marijuana and methamphetamine for the most part. Every now and then you may get a little cocaine. Well, now it may be heroin with fentanyl, with a little bit of meth, and throw in some ecstasy. You don't know what they're on when they're coming through the door now. And that's so dangerous for us. And I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of sleepless nights because these folks come in, we get them treated at the hospital and they say they're good for incarceration. There's sometimes these guys are going back to the hospital 2 or 3 times because, I'm going to play on the safe side. When it comes to medical stuff, I'm going to treat them like it was my own family. I'm not going to let somebody just sit there and suffer. Okay, let's take them back to the hospital and get them checked again. I want a doctor to look at them again. And if the doctor says no, they're okay to go back, all right. He's a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I got to take, their word for it. But it's, you don't know what they're on anymore. And when you ask them, they ain't going to tell you. Some do. Some won't. I don't know. And I get that a lot too. I mean, it might be bath salts. It might be, and we'll get these guys that it's almost like they're a savage animal for almost a week. And then all of a sudden they come off and they're like, hey, Bennett, how you doing, man? I apologize for anything I may have done. It's like, well, you've done a few things here. You kind of had us worried. The first couple of days we're worried about you, extremely. But it's that's a big thing, just the drugs. And I know, even back in the 80s with Ronald Reagan, it's been the war on drugs. It's been the war on drugs, but it's still here. As long as that southern border is open, it's still here. It's going to continue to come here. I'm not with the drug task force or anything like that, but, I kind of keep my ear to the ground. And as long as that fentanyl is going to keep on coming through, and it's a dangerous thing. And it's, I've had days where I've been giving, Narcaning somebody, and Narcan doesn't work for all drugs. Next thing you know, I'm giving CPR to somebody and, calling for an ambulance because this person came in and they're fine, but they may have ingested something because, oh, here come the cops. They swallow something. But, when we have a body scanner, it doesn't, it's so hard to pick up something from, say a pill or a piece of, methamphetamine with fentanyl on it or whatever, compared to just any other type of bile in your body. It goes off of density. And next thing you know, this person, you're starting to book them in, all of a sudden you can just see the sweat come from them. And all of a sudden that fear in their eyes, and it's like, what'd you take? And they're like, nothing. Yes, you did. And next thing you know, they're hitting the ground, and you have to react to that. So that's why one of the first classes that my guys get when they get hired is within the first 30 days is first aid, CPR. That comes in because you may be using it sooner than you think. And that's the most dangerous thing, is just these drugs and then the mental health. And some of it may be drug induced over years of drug abuse. The mental health, it's, of course, I've been in law enforcement since 2005. And I know a few guys here that I met in 2005. And because of drug abuse, boy, it's been rough on them, just their mental capacity and whatnot. And so those are two main things that there needs to be some type of reform. There needs to be some type of awareness that people realize because it isn't just the DUIs coming in. Somebody had a little bit too much to drink and they drove and they get caught. It isn't somebody, stole something, they're coming in. In our community, a lot of these crimes revolve, whether it's theft or assaults or whatever, revolve around a drug. Revolve around a drug or a mental illness. So it's a very tough thing. And like I said, for some type of reform on either one of those, I'm a jailer. I can identify it. But do I have a solution for it? No, because if I did, trust me, I'd share it with everybody. But it's tough. It's tough, and they don't, and the public don't see that. They don't see that side of it when, I don't know these guys, a lot of them coming in anymore, but next thing you know, you're sitting there giving CPR to a guy, you're just like, wow, that ambulance, I know it's on its way, but man, it always seems like it's forever. It may have only been 5 minutes, but it seems like an eternity when you're sitting there trying to keep somebody breathing.
Right. Why should someone vote for you on the Republican side of things this primary?
I'm proven. My background, I'm the only veteran. I'm the only one that has any type of law enforcement background. I'm the only one that is the most familiar with these guys that are coming in and out of jail. I've been at the jail. I'm at the jail. I'm a working jailer. I do not sit in the office. I'm out on the floor. I'm out there working with them. I'm proven. The building-wise, we keep it in good standings. Financially, physical-wise, it's in good standing. Like I was just telling you, it's been a process. Now we're getting where we're rewarding those and, having that money where right now, like I said, we're more than $300,000 under budget, which is outstanding. And we're going to continue on with that stuff. And we're going to keep focusing on the deputies. That's the main thing. That's the most important part of that jail is the guys that are out there. They're the ones leading the way and taking care of everything. And then the inmates, getting those residents that are in there at Barren County Detention Center and fixing them as much as we can. They got to want the help. They got to want the help. We're going to offer it, but it's up to them to actually apply it. So that's a big thing. But as for me, I'm proven. I've been there, I have the most experience, and I have the most knowledge for it. I'm going to continue to push forward, and I guarantee you I will continue to work hard each and every day to earn my worthiness to be the jailer of Barren County.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. Aaron Bennett, the Republican candidate for Barren County Jailer. Will be on the May 17th primary ticket, or ballot rather. So we will, of course, wait to see what happens with the primary, but best of luck, sir.
Thank you, sir.